Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. I'm pretty proud of this. Yeah, so this was in the original thing, and this is what I made. And it was actually really easy to make and has a lot of cool properties, which make it even more flexible and everything than like an actual sculpt. So maybe I'll actually show how to do that. So I'll use this sculpt to kind of surface snap to, and just start a painting with the impressionist Fleck, and that it kind of looks roughly like leaves. Surface snap, and then I grab some colors. So I'll grab that color, and I'll grab that color. I can just use R2 to grab colors from the scene, I think. So if I grab that, that'll be white, yeah. And when you add something, you can't take it away, so I won't do that. So I put that in. This always looks kind of washed out for some reason, but just have faith that it's the right color. And then R2 to like start it spinning in different ways, and that color that changes over time is what is applied to whatever Fleck. And then you can rotate this with the touchpad like that, and if you flick it, oh, there you go. If you flick it, it'll start rotating in that direction. So I'll start with a few. Just moving slower. And I'm going to use like smaller flecks as we get away. So it's like a pile of leaves. I'll do like a couple just out there like that. Oh, that'll do. Less variation in this one, but like obviously take your time with it if you want to. The cool thing with this is because they were surface snapped, you can use Ruffle and just rotate all of them by a random amount. The only one that won't apply to is the first fleck or the first stroke you added, because that always counts as not surface snapped for some reason. I think it's this one here, so I'm going to move that down a bit, make it really small, and then it won't kind of stick up above the ground. That's the idea. There we go. So even if it's sticking straight up, you probably won't notice it when you're playing the game. And I'll just move that over to cover the gap. Okay. So, as I was saying, Ruffle. So now you can get like have two of them next to each other and they won't look the same because one of them's ruffled differently. So then it will give more variation. You can also do stuff like clone on disk. Now this will have a problem. So when you surface snap, it kind of messes up what the up is. So what the orientation of the disk is. So I'll demonstrate. So if you do that, you think that the disk would be like that sort of thing, but it's actually not, because it was surface snapped, because the first fleck was surface snapped. So then you do that, and the disk is actually like that. So if I go like that and like that, you can see it's kind of this orientation, which is unexpected. So if instead, you don't surface snap for that first one, because you actually want it to be tiny anyway. So I'll just hide that one there. This will be like the center of it though, so put it somewhere useful. Okay, and then surface snap from there on. Yeah, and then you can have on disk, yay! And now it's in that orientation that you wanted. So, so probably do that instead of the way I made it, and that's, or you can, if you start it and then rotate it, and then carry on surface snapping, that would be fine. But yeah, that's just a couple of ways to fix that problem. Oh. So I'll just carry on demonstrating with this one, which has that fixed. So I can duplicate on disk, and it's like around here. Yay! And then we can have some ruffle as well. But because of the way duplicates work, it just renders the same flecks in multiple places. So when you ruffle, that ruffles all the flecks, all the original flecks, and then it will render that in different places with the same orientation. So that's why you can still see the pattern. But yeah, you can get like these tons of piles of leaves everywhere. And you could do stuff like around cylinder. So if I turn that off, around cylinder is kind of, it's as if you're duplicating it, like rotating it around like that, around a cylinder, that kind of thing. That with the on disk or one of these means that each of the copies will be rotated a random amount. So now you get a large field of these spots of flecks of these leaves, but they all look like they were hand placed randomly. And then you can go scale jitter, which applies to every stroke. So if you have like, if I made another painting without surface snap, if I made like 1, 2, and then 3, that's a single stroke, that's a single stroke, that was 2 strokes I used. And then do that. Okay, so they all look like 1, 2, 3. If you start doing this, then all the strokes scale to a random amount from the origin point, which is like the start of the whole painting. So the 1 still looks okay because it's just scaling up from there. The 2 is this one is getting smaller, so it's scaling down towards the origin point. And then the 3 sometimes looks okay, and sometimes looks real weird because one of them's scaling down, the other one's scaling up from this point. So that's why it can kind of get weird. But what's happening with this is each of these is a single stroke that just has 1 fleck. It's just a really short stroke. So then when you jitter the scale, each of the strokes becomes a different size. And it's still scaling from the first one we put down, which was around the middle. But you get like random sizes of the flecks or the leaves. So it looks even more messy, even more, you have even more variation, things like that, which is very cool. Yeah, this works on plane as well. That just means it's like in a square instead of in a circle. Yeah, and then you can do something like select the painting. So if we had this amount, then you can click on merge paintings. If there's too many copies, then you won't be able to, because it's too complex. There's too many flecks, too many strokes to merge into one painting. So just make it down a bit and then merge. And then you get a new painting that has all of these flecks like actually in the painting instead of just rendered in multiple places. And then you can go and use this again because they're all individual flecks. You won't see any pattern, and you can duplicate them again. So I'll go on disk again, and now you got these larger piles. You can spread those out, and you have this huge area with lots of leaves, which is pretty cool. You can also do stuff like stretch them, so make them longer leaves or shorter leaves by turning this down. Looseness to make them larger, so it feels like more of a full pile of leaves. And you can go Impasto, which will kind of push them up and down above that plane. Yeah, so if you had this on a surface like here, with no Impasto, it would just be like flat on the surface. If you turned it up, it will start poking above the grass and stuff. If you do something like that and then push it down, you get like an even more randomized clump of the leaves. And then I can go have them in different places, have them with different amounts of Impasto, and different leaves will kind of show up and stuff. That one only has a few leaves showing up. Things like that. So yeah, I'm kind of pleased with how this turned out. It looks pretty good. And is cheaper on graphics than these, and also has a ton of versatility in lots of different ways. So yeah, so feel free to use that technique. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.